See, every one of us is born with a particular set of gifts, unique talents, inclinations, and instincts that no one else has in quite the same way. But too many people spend their lives chasing what they think they should be good at instead of digging deep into what they already have within them. If you want to become more valuable than ever before, the first thing you must do is stop looking outside of yourself for the answer. Look in the mirror. And that's where it starts. You've got to find your core strengths. This isn't about ego, and it's not about wishful thinking. It's about paying attention to what lights you up, what comes naturally, what gives you energy, rather than draining it. If something feels effortless to you, but looks impossible to someone else, you're staring directly at one of your gifts. That's a clue. That's a direction worth following. But we don't find those strengths by accident. We find them through reflection, experience, and most of all, honesty. So many people are trying to imitate someone else's success path. They see someone crushing it in business or speaking or art, and they try to walk in those exact footsteps. But the truth is, you can't borrow someone else's shoes and expect them to fit your walk. You've got your own blueprint, your own wiring. And real value comes when you start aligning your work, your learning, and your focus with the abilities that were designed for you. Now, let me be very real with you. It's not always easy to recognize your own strengths. You're too close to them. That's why feedback matters. That's why reflection matters. Sometimes you've got to ask others what they see in you. What do people consistently come to you for? What do they thank you for? What do they say you make look easy? Answers to those questions are road signs to your value. And once you start to see those patterns, once you start recognizing your edge, that's when everything changes. Because now you've got something you can build on. You're not just spinning your wheels anymore. You're moving in alignment. You're doubling down on your difference. Don't underestimate how powerful this is. In a world full of noise and sameness, different is valuable. Real value doesn't come from being a copy. It comes from being clear. Clear on what you do best, clear on how you deliver it, and clear on why it matters. And don't confuse humility with hiding. Some of you are sitting on brilliance and staying quiet about it because you don't want to look arrogant. Let that go. The world needs you to step into what you're best at, not shrink away from it. When you use your strengths to serve others, that's not ego, that's purpose. And purpose-driven people, they become irreplaceable. Finding your core strengths is the foundation. It's the starting line. Everything else, your growth, your focus, your excellence, it all stacks on top of that truth. If you want to become more valuable than ever before, stop asking how to be like them and start asking how to be more of you. Because the truth is, value isn't something you chase, it's something you unlock. Now that you've found your strength, your edge, the next step is owning your growth journey. And I mean owning it fully. Because here's what too many people forget. No one is coming to hand you success. No one's going to show up, tap you on the shoulder and say, it's your time now. You've got to decide it's your time. You've got to choose to grow, and you've got to do it on purpose. Let's get something clear. Growth isn't a luxury. It's not optional. If you want to become more valuable than ever before, growth is the price of admission. And not the kind of growth that just happens because time is passing either. I'm talking about intentional, focused, personal development. The kind where you say, this is where I am, and this is where I want to be. And then you start doing the work to close that gap every single day. But the key word here is ownership, because when you take full responsibility for your growth, everything changes. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. You stop blaming the market, the economy, your upbringing, or the people who didn't support you. You stop outsourcing your potential, and you start building it, brick by brick, day by day. This is your journey, your life, your legacy. So if there's a skill you need, learn it. If there's a weakness that's holding you back, work on it. If there's a version of you that you see in your mind but haven't stepped into yet, start becoming it today, not someday. People asked, how do I become more valuable in my work, in my business, in my relationships? The answer is simple. Become more valuable to yourself first. Raise your own standard. Elevate your habits. Feed your mind. Challenge your comfort zone. Because when you do that, you don't just wait for opportunity, you attract it. I'm not saying the road will be easy. Growth can be uncomfortable. You'll stumble, you'll doubt, you'll have moments where you wonder if you're even making progress. That's normal. But the people who rise, the ones who become indispensable, they're the ones who keep showing up, hungry, focused, and humble enough to keep learning. And here's something else I want you to hear loud and clear. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards performance. It rewards people who develop their potential, who maximize it, who act on it. You've already got something powerful inside of you. That's your foundation. But growth is what turns potential into power. When you start taking ownership of your evolution, you become magnetic. You walk differently. You speak differently. You stop playing small because you know you're building something bigger than your current circumstances. You start to carry the energy of someone who's on a mission, not just surviving, but rising. There is no shortcut, no magic formula, just a simple, powerful truth. If you want to become more valuable than ever before, you've got to grow on purpose, with purpose. And that's a decision only you can make. Because no one can invest in you more than you're willing to invest in yourself. Let me tell you something that separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. Resilience and adaptability. In this world, this fast, ever-changing, unpredictable world, being talented is not enough. Being smart is not enough. You have to be flexible, you have to be tough, and most of all, you have to be ready to bend without breaking when life hits you with something you didn't see coming. Because it will. Oh, it will. Life has a way of testing you, poking at your plans, throwing a curveball when you least expect it. It'll challenge your certainty, shake your confidence, and ask, how bad do you really want it? That's where resilience is born, not in the easy days, not when everything's going smooth, but in those moments when you feel like quitting and choose to keep going anyway. Listen to me closely. Those moments matter. That's where your value starts to compound. That's where you go from just knowing your strengths and owning your growth to becoming the kind of person who cannot be shaken by circumstances because you've been tested. You've learned how to take a hit, learn from it, and come back stronger. And it's not just about bouncing back. It's about adapting, being willing to change your approach when something isn't working. Let go of the need to control every detail. Let go of the idea that your plan has to look exactly the way you imagined it. That's not how success works. The people who thrive are the ones who know how to pivot, who know when to shift gears without losing momentum. They don't get stuck in their old ways, they evolve. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because growth lives right outside your comfort zone. When the environment shifts, when the economy changes, when the industry flips, when your life looks different than you planned, you have two options: resist and suffer or adapt and rise. And only one of those will increase your value. Adaptability is a skill, it's a mindset. It's the ability to look at a new challenge and say, okay, this is different, but I'm not afraid of it. You learn to see change not as a threat, but as an invitation to become better, sharper, wiser. And when you start seeing life that way, there's almost nothing that can stop you. Too many people wait for things to get easier before they move forward. Let me be straight with you. That day might never come. So don't pray for easy. Don't wait for perfect. Learn how to navigate the storm. Learn how to plant your feet when the wind picks up. Because the people who are the most valuable in any space, in business, in leadership, in life, are the ones who can stay calm in chaos. They don't panic. They pivot. They find a way forward. So, when the pressure's on, when the unexpected shows up, I want you to remind yourself, this is the training ground. This is where greatness is built. This is where I prove to myself that I'm not just good when things are good, I'm solid when things get real. Because if you want to become more valuable than ever before, you must be able to endure what others can't and adapt faster than they will. Let's get to the heart of it. You want to become more valuable than ever before, then you have to understand this one simple truth. Value is not just about you. It's about how well you serve the people around you. It's about understanding their needs, their pain, their desires, and becoming someone who consistently brings solutions. That's the game. That's the edge. Now, this isn't about being a people pleaser. This is about being a people leader. And you can't lead anyone until you learn to listen. You have to develop the skill, the discipline of truly seeing people, not just hearing their words, but reading between the lines, not just solving surface level problems, but understanding what's really going on underneath. You do that, and you'll never be without opportunity. You see, the most valuable people in any room are the ones who make other people's lives easier, smoother, better. They anticipate needs. They listen deeply. They make it their mission to add value everywhere they go. That's not just good business. That's powerful living. And it's rare, so when you do it, you stand out. You've got to stop asking, what do I want to give? And start asking, what do they need? Because when you shift your focus from yourself to service, you tap into something bigger than ambition. You tap into purpose. And purpose, that's what keeps you moving when motivation runs out. That's what keeps you sharp, keeps you learning, keeps you growing. Because you're not just doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it to make a difference. And here's the thing, people can feel your intention. They can tell if you're in it for the sale or if you're in it to serve. They know if you're really listening or just waiting for your turn to talk. So if you want to create long-term value, stop performing and start connecting. Show up with empathy. Show up with curiosity. Ask better questions. Care more than you're expected to. That's how trust is built. And in a world full of noise, trust is currency. This applies to every area of life. In your relationships, are you really showing up for the people you say you care about? In your career, are you making your clients and team feel seen and supported? Or are you just going through the motions, trying to hit goals and cross things off a list? Because I'm telling you right now, real value lives in the moments where you make someone else's life easier, richer, more meaningful. And don't you dare underestimate the power of solving small problems. You don't need to change the entire world to become valuable. You just need to start paying attention. Be the person who notices what others miss. Be the one who follows through when others forget. That's how trust is earned. That's how reputations are built. That's how opportunities start showing up uninvited, because people remember how you made them feel. The mistake people make is thinking value is all about knowledge or credentials. It's not. Those things are useful, but they're not the core. The real magic happens when you combine what you know with how much you care. That's the winning formula. That's the kind of energy people will pay for, follow, and talk about when you're not in the room. So don't just chase greatness. Serve your way into it. Find the need, meet the need, and watch how your value multiplies. If you want to become more valuable than ever before, then at some point you have to make a decision to stop blending in and start standing out. And let me tell you the truth about how you stand out. You do it through excellence. You do it by deciding that average is not your standard, that good enough is not going to cut it, that you're not just going to show up, You're going to show out consistently with pride, with intention. See, in a world that celebrates shortcuts, hacks, and overnight success, true excellence is becoming rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. Anybody can do the bare minimum. Anybody can show up and check boxes. But the ones who rise, the ones who become indispensable, they bring their best even when no one's watching. They hold themselves to a higher standard not because someone else is forcing them to, but because it's who they are. Almas, excellence isn't about perfection, don't get it twisted. It's about commitment. It's about choosing to raise the level in everything you touch. It's about saying, if my name is on it, it's going to be done right. It's about doing the little things with as much care as the big things, because you know the little things are the big things. Look around and you'll see it. Most people are coasting. They're doing just enough to get by, to stay employed, to look good on the outside, but underneath that, there's no fire, no depth, no ownership. That's where you separate yourself. When you decide to pursue mastery, not just competence, not just adequacy, but mastery, you begin to carry a different energy. People can feel it. You become the one they trust, the one they call, the one they look to when it matters. And here's what's powerful. Excellence doesn't care where you started. You don't need the fanciest tools, the best connections, or the most polished resume to show up with excellence. You just need discipline. You need pride in your work. You need to care enough about your reputation, your mission, your contribution, to give it everything you've got, even on the days you don't feel like it. The truth is, your value grows every time you choose to raise your bar. Every time you decide that you're not just going to finish something, you're going to finish it well. Every time you put in the reps to improve, to sharpen, to refine, you're separating yourself from the crowd. That's the mindset of someone who knows they're building something bigger than just a paycheck. They're building legacy. And here's where it gets exciting. When you start walking in excellence, opportunities begin to find you. You don't have to beg, you don't have to chase, because excellence creates demand. People want to work with you, promote you, follow you, learn from you, because they know they're getting the real thing. No fluff, no excuses, just solid, dependable, high-quality work. That's what stands out in any industry, in any room, in any season. So ask yourself, what kind of mark do I want to leave? What kind of example do I want to set? Because if your goal is to become more valuable than ever before, then you've got to stop measuring yourself against people doing the minimum and start measuring yourself against your potential. Excellence is a choice. And when you choose it again and again, it stops being what you do. It becomes who you are. Now, here's something most people never realize until it's too late. Your ability to build relationships will determine just how far your value carries. I don't care how talented you are, how skilled, how brilliant. If you don't know how to connect with people, you're going to hit a ceiling every time. Because value doesn't live in isolation. It multiplies through connection. You've got to understand people are the doors to your next level. Not luck, not timing. People, the right relationship can change the entire trajectory of your life. One introduction, one conversation, one believer who sees what you're capable of and opens a door you couldn't open alone. That's the power of connection. And that's why you have to treat every interaction like it matters, because it does. But here's the key. Real connection doesn't come from networking. It doesn't come from handing out business cards or dropping your name just to impress. It comes from authenticity, from being the kind of person who shows up with integrity, who brings value without keeping score, who listens more than they talk. You build influence by building trust, and trust is built moment by moment, word by word, action by action. Let me ask you something. Are you showing up in your relationships with intention, or are you just collecting contacts with no real connection? Because if you want to become more valuable than ever before, you've got to become someone who others want to work with, someone people remember, someone who makes them feel important, not used. That's how loyalty is created. That's how opportunities keep showing up without you chasing them. And don't think for a second this is just about business. This is about every area of your life, your family, your team, your community. When you lead with presence, when you take the time to care, to support, to encourage, that's legacy, that's impact, that's value no algorithm can replace. People remember how you made them feel, not your title, not your resume, but the way you made them feel when you walked in the room, when you picked up the phone, when you looked them in the eye and actually listened. So if you want to leave a mark that lasts longer than your accomplishments, invest in people. Build them up, believe in them, even when they don't believe in themselves yet. And let me say this clearly, you don't build relationships by being perfect. You build them by being real. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's power. When you're willing to drop the mask, when you let others see who you really are, that's when connection happens. That's when walls come down and trust gets built. And that kind of trust, it makes you unforgettable. The most valuable people in the world are not just high performers. They're relationally rich. They're the ones whose names come up when problems need solving, when leadership is required, when heart and results have to come together. They're not just known, they're valued. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because they made the decision to treat people like the greatest investment they could ever make. So if you're serious about becoming more valuable than ever before, don't just work on your craft, work on your character. Build deep, meaningful, lasting connections. Because no matter what changes in this world, one thing never will. People will always follow those they trust.